Hey guys, it's Michael. Today is Thursday, June 4th, 2020, and there is a lot going on in the world today. In today's video, we're going to go over big news from the White House economic advisor, Kevin Hassett, and what he said will be in the second stimulus package. Cases are growing at a faster rate than we have ever seen throughout the entire pandemic. And finally, a ban on commercial passenger flights by Chinese carriers. We're going to go over all of this and more in today's video, but before we get into it, I want to remind you guys that we're doing a giveaway and I will be announcing the winner in my second video today. So if you've not already entered, in order to enter the $50 free stock giveaway, all you need to do is like the video down below, be subscribed to my channel, and comment down below the 3 stocks that I mentioned at the end of today's video. And if you don't want to do that, well, you can still go ahead and get 2 free stocks when you download the Webull investing app using the link down below. Anyways, let's jump right into it. And before we get into the big news from the White House, let's go over some financial and economic news. So cases are growing at an alarming rate worldwide and at the fastest rate we have ever seen so far, driven by increases in cases in Brazil and in Egypt. The pandemic is starting to get better in some of the countries that were hit the hardest in the early days of the virus, but the number of new cases is growing faster than ever worldwide, with more than 100,000 cases reported each day. Twice as many countries have reported a rise in new cases in the past 2 weeks as countries that have reported declines in the number of cases. So this could be due to the fact that we have improved testing and more testing in place right now, but it also could be due to the fact that a lot of countries are starting to ease restrictions and states and countries are starting to open up around the world. Moving on is Germany just approved a second stimulus package for 130 billion euros, which is $146 billion. This package will include about $336 per child. People will have to pay less on tax on daily items, and they'll be charged less for electricity. This is the second stimulus package in Germany. The first one was 750 billion euros, and this one is significantly smaller at 130 billion euros. So we can look towards what these other countries are doing, and this is a good sign for us receiving a second stimulus package now that a lot of other countries are seeing the need to pass another stimulus package as well. Next up is according to a report issued on Wednesday by an international nursing federation, the virus has infected at least 450,000 healthcare workers worldwide. And this is a new insight into the toll that the pandemic is taking on essential healthcare workers worldwide. Overall, more than 6.4 million cases have been confirmed of the virus worldwide and 381,000 deaths. So based on the numbers in this report, we can see that there's a surprising number of healthcare workers who have been affected by the virus. 450,000 cases out of a total 6.4 million. So that's between 5 and 10% of the total world's cases are made up of essential healthcare workers. Next up, the Trump administration said late on Wednesday that it will ban all commercial passenger flights by Chinese carriers beginning later this month, which will likely increase tensions between the United States and China. The change announced by the Department of Transportation will begin on June 16th in response to China's refusal to allow carriers to resume service in China. The rule going into place will impact operations of 7 carriers, including Air China and China Eastern Airlines. So it's going to impact a number of Chinese carriers, when we will see how this goes. This could have big impacts on the stock market as tensions may continue to get worse between the United States and China. And then finally, before we get into the big news from the White House and what the White House economic advisor said about a second stimulus package, I want to touch on what happened in Wall Street. So Wall Street wrapped up one of its most remarkable 50-day runs on Wednesday, posting a 40% advance. All 3 indexes, the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ, are 40% above their pandemic lows earlier in the year after there's been 2 months of straight gains, despite depression-era levels of unemployment, a pandemic that has killed more than 105,000 people, and a week full of protests and riots across the country. So it's surprising that we're still seeing this increase and that there's been an over 40% increase from lows earlier in the year. Now let's get into big news on the second stimulus package and what the White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett confirmed in an interview yesterday about the second stimulus package. So the White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett, he said on Wednesday that the government's response to the pandemic has put the country in a position for a strong recovery. He said, we are absolutely meeting this week to discuss a second stimulus package. He told this to Fox News. He said, we are going over what we think will be in the phase 4 deal, and we're going to try to reform unemployment insurance so that the factor you suggested goes away. So what he means by the factor that you suggested goes away, what he means is right now, according to a recent paper written by an economist at the University of Chicago, what they said is that roughly 2/3 of workers who receive unemployment benefits right now are making more money now under unemployment benefits than they would if they were working. So what he said is right now in this phase 4 deal, they have to get rid of this additional $600 per week unemployment benefits because it's encouraging people to stay home. He says they need to encourage people to go back to work to help the economy start reviving itself so then we can see that V-shaped recovery. In addition to this, the Federal Reserve's report last week in the Beige Book, they found that business owners are actually struggling to bring workers back to business and start working again as a result of these unemployment benefits being so high, because a lot of employees, it makes no sense for them to return to work right now when they're receiving more staying at home and just collecting unemployment benefits. So what Kevin Hassett said in this interview is that in the phase 4 deal, they're trying to incentivize people to go back to work. So all of this is great news because in this interview with Fox, he says that this week they are talking about a phase 4 deal and they're just figuring out what is going to be in it. So a lot of people have been worried that we won't see a second stimulus package, but according to the White House economic advisor, Kevin Hassett, who's the person who's always with Donald Trump when talking about a stimulus package, he says that right now, this week, they are talking about what will be in this package. Moving on, he goes on to say how the Wall Street Journal article written about the White House, and it's called "The White House Weighs Option for Next Stimulus Bill," he said what was written about in this article was extremely accurate. And I talked about this in yesterday's video, so if you have not already seen that video, well then please be sure to check it out. I'll link it down below. But for those of you who haven't seen it, I'll do a quick recap, just the basics of what I covered. So a basic summary is that the president's team has assembled a set of proposals to encourage the public to return to work and resume normal life, including going out to restaurants and taking vacations in an effort to jumpstart the economy as quickly as possible. The article discusses 5 different options that the White House is currently debating for a second stimulus package, and some options that they are talking about should be in it. The first option is reducing the $600 per week enhanced unemployment benefits to $250 to $300 a week during the second half of the year. The second option that they are talking about is to set the payments as a share of the workers' salaries, ensuring that they earn 30 to 40% more than they would on weekly jobless benefits. So basically in option 2, they said that would be a little more difficult to implement because a lot of states are already struggling to get unemployment benefits out to people. So they said now calculating that as a percentage of what each person's salary is, that might be a little more difficult. Options 3 and 4 are tourism tax deductions and tax credits for families and individuals who take a vacation somewhere in the US within the next 3 to 6 months. However, these options also only help out people who are wealthy, and they are not as practical for people who cannot travel. And the fifth option that the White House is currently talking about is making permanent provisions to allow companies to deduct the cost of capital spending if they move their business operations from China and overseas back to the US, because this will help the US economy more if these companies are doing their business in the US. So if you'd like more info on each of those options and a very detailed breakdown of what the White House is talking about, well then check out the video I made yesterday, which I linked down below. Finally, to end this interview, the White House officials explain how they've got to reward individuals for going back to work. They said that there will be some kind of employment bonus, and we're not going to do the $600 per week in unemployment benefits anymore because that's simply a disincentive to work. So basically right now, this is all great news because the White House officials in this Fox interview, they said that this week they are talking about what exactly will be in the second stimulus package. There's been a lot of talks that we won't see a second stimulus package. However, now we know we're definitely going to see one. It's just going to be a matter of what will be in it, because right now White House officials are just talking about what they're going to see in it and just figuring out specific details of what will be in the second stimulus package. So anyways, that is what's going on in the world today between the White House officials confirming that they're just figuring out the specific details of a second stimulus package and basically pointing to the fact that we will definitely see a second stimulus package, bans on commercial passenger flights by Chinese carriers, and cases are growing faster than ever around the world. But now into the giveaway, and in order to be eligible for the $50 free stock giveaway, all you need to do to be eligible is like the video down below, be subscribed to the channel, and comment down below these 3 stocks. The first is Costco, the second is Lululemon, and the third is Johnson & Johnson. And if you don't want to enter the giveaway, you can still go ahead and get 2 free stocks valued up to $1,400 when you sign up for the Webull investing app. Don't forget that you can get $5 when you sign up for the Acorns investing app. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like the video down below, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.